And they got in local experts from Otago and Canterbury University, scientists, geologists again, talking on peak oil, alternatives to fossil fuels. The answer was there are none. And what the community can do to reduce dependence on fossil fuels. And they sold tickets to these talks, and as a draw card they also had a guest speaker, Anton Oliver, who turns out to be a bit of an environmentalist himself, who talked on global ecological issues. And they say in any other country it's sex sells. In New Zealand it seems to be that rugby sells, so maybe that's why the population's so small. Okay, some of the actions that they've implemented already. Improving skills and knowledge base through education. They've been bulk purchasing solar panels as well. Some very generous individual has offered virtually interest-free loans for people to purchase solar panels and for stormwater collection. They're starting to set up a local market. I think they've got their first one happening in December. Biofuel initiatives, they've got one farmer who's started to grow beet for biofuel, a pig farmer who's looking at using the effluent there for methane, as a methane digester, I presume. And as I said before, they had their vision formally adopted as part of their district council's LTCCP, so that gives them a legal framework to work in. And there's other examples around New Zealand. Waitakere City, everybody knows, has been quite a good model of or has lots of models there of sustainability. Sustainable Wanaka was set up in response to tourism pressures there and development, and mostly founded on projects to do with sustainable building and sustainable tourism. Nelson set up the New Zealand Association of Peak Oil, and they have been pressuring their local government to instigate a similar process, set up some kind of energy descent action plan, so some way of dealing with the changes. And we've got an environment centre network around the country, and in the towns like here where you find an environment centre you will find similar initiatives happening. There's also another international movement called relocalise.net. So I mean that's what all these projects are trying to focus on, is relocalising, looking at strengthening your local community, your local economy, and there's a couple of places in New Zealand that have signed up for that one as well. So to summarise, we're saying that fossil fuels are finite and therefore they're going to become less available and more expensive. As a result of that, our community is going to become more isolated, and therefore we need to be more self-reliant as a community. So we need to look at relocalising. And even if you're still sceptical about peak oil and you're still sceptical about climate change, I can give you lots of other good reasons why we might still choose to implement this community planning process, some kind of energy descent planning process. It can help improve health and lifestyle, so we can have healthier food, we can re-emphasise quality over quantity. It can lead to more active lifestyles, so for example if we're not using so much petrol we might need to be cycling or walking more. And it can reduce our addictive overconsumption habits. In terms of the economy, planning for the future makes economic sense to any business. So that's nothing new, as does energy efficiency and conservation methods are sensible for any business. These kind of plans can help to revitalise the local economy. They can help to reduce our dependence on China and offer us greater self-reliance and resilience in terms of outside shocks to the local economy. It can help us develop our community, again giving us greater self-reliance and resilience, greater self-determination. Can help the re-emergence of local identity if it doesn't exist already, and it helps to give a meaningful common goal and a sense of community, a sense of purpose together. And last but not least, obviously, goes without saying that there are lots of environmental benefits. That's the whole point. Some of them may be a reduction in pollution, it's likely to lead to reforestation, it's likely to lead to an improvement in the soil quality and an increase in biodiversity. So what Hawke's Bay needs to ask itself, or what the areas of Hawke's Bay need to ask themselves, are three questions. how will we here experience oil shortfall in our community? So what is going to be the impact on us? Is it going to impact us more or less than other places? What does our community have that will work for us in a future with less oil? So basically we need to do a resource audit. We need to say, what have we got in Hawke's Bay that we can keep in Hawke's Bay? And I think we've got lots of things going for us. We've got a very good basis on which to start. I mean, we've got great soils, we've got land that we can use for food production, we've got sunshine. In terms of our fixtures and fittings, we've got a network of enviro schools, we've got an environment centre. One of the things that came out of the Kinsale plan was a good idea of setting up an environment centre. Well, we've got one already. One of the other things that came out of Kinsale was that permaculture should be taught more widely. Well, we've been teaching permaculture here through the Environment Centre for the last 2 years. We've got 58 graduates of those courses and another 50 or so that have come through courses on other subjects like agriculture at EIT that have done a permaculture session on there. So we're trying to build up that knowledge base here. I'm sure you can think of lots of other examples. Hohepa is another great example that we've got of community working together in an agricultural situation. Farmers market. So we have got lots of good things going. We need to be positive about the good things that we have got already. But we also need to say, okay, where are we lacking? Where is it that we need to import things into the local community and the local economy? And how can we shift so that we could start to produce those things here or find alternatives? So that's the last thing. What can we do as a community to prepare and respond to the twin challenges of climate change and peak oil? And that's what we want to ask you and the whole Hawke's Bay community. As the Sustaining Hawke's Bay Trust, we want to get this process in motion here. We think we need to be addressing these issues. So we want to work with the community, or we want you to do it. It was not that we want to necessarily lead the project, but we can just hold the space for these things to happen. We don't have an agenda in it, but we need to involve the community, the businesses, local government and so on.